What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Tyler Perry Sistas. Now, this is season 4, episode 1, and yes, I know that I am super late to this review, but your girl actually lost her voice earlier this week. My voice was completely gone, and I mean, shot. Couldn't hear me say a word, or I would be whispering, so that wasn't going to work, especially not on a channel like this. So, I'm finally coming back around, and my voice has gotten better. No, I did not get the Rona, the Vid, the Omarion, the Delta, anything else that's out here. I just happened to get a common cold. I'm still suffering from some of the symptoms, but your girl is back. I'm about to be putting out a bunch of videos coming up next. So stick around. Let's jump right into this episode. So you guys, we quickly learn that this was all a dream for Andy. No, there was no threesome possibility of her, Robin, and Gary. So she wakes up, she's all frantic. Robin is like, chill out. She's like, oh, but I have to go into work. He's like, nah, I already called Fatima, all this stuff. And I'm just like, sir, you're kind of overstepping a boundary here, considering Andy works for you. You're calling her assistant to let her know that Andy's coming in late for work. You don't find that to be weird? You don't think that's strange at all? I'm sorry, but I just see so many red flags when it comes to Robin. Even though when he did offer Andy that trip to go to London and she said no, I was like, girl, what is still in Atlanta for you? You need to go ahead and have a good old time in London. I mean, it's on his dime. So why not? Why not fly into PJ? You know what I'm saying? But regardless of that, I still think there's something off about Robin that we haven't got to yet. But we gonna get there. Y'all know Tyler gonna bring it out. So, another thing that I wanted to mention real quick. They were having a conversation about how she only calls him. Well, not only calls him, but she always calls him when she's drunk. And then she was like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. I said, Andy, don't say that as if that's a compliment. Like, when she was like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. I'm just like, you're saying that as if he just called you beautiful. Like, no, that sounds like you have a problem that whenever you start drinking, you need to be up under a man. You don't see a problem with that, Andy? I mean, clearly she doesn't, but let's just move on. So you guys, we get to Danny's house. Now, as y'all already know, last season we were left on a cliffhanger, and that was with El Fuego packing up his stuff. He was leaving out of Danny's house, and Preston was waiting at the door, right? So y'all, Preston comes in, and he is like, what is going on here? Because at the end of the day, he recalls that the night before he talked to Danny, I think he told her that he was going to stop by or something like that at some point. Therefore, he's coming by to see his girl, not to see some other man leave out of her apartment. So he's super confused. So next thing you know, Fuego, he starts acting like a gay man. And I mean, I was offended by it. I was just like, sir, I need you to stop this right now. But I will say, I found it interesting that he didn't want Danny to get in trouble. So he decided to act like, he was like her gay bestie. I'm just like, oh, I guess you care that much about her, but you don't really care that she had a boyfriend? You know what? Whatever. Next thing you know, he heads on out the door, right? Now let's jump right into this conversation between Danny and Preston. Here's the thing. I understand where both of them are coming from. However, they were on 2 different pages, and I don't even see how they can come back together at this point. For starters, let's talk about Danny. Danny's point of view is that she was going to unload on him all the things that has bothered her about Preston. But here's the problem with that whole situation. We've already talked about all this. Everything that she's bringing up, she has already talked about. She's already told him how she didn't want him entering into her house, by way of her landlord. We've had that discussion. She already talked about how the whole gal in the bedroom thing didn't work for her. We've had that discussion. We've also even talked about his whole family situation. So all she did was reiterate the issues that she's previously had and not actually talk about what's making her mad. Because if we can recall, last season, she was pissed off because she overheard Preston talking to the cousin. Well, actually, not the cousin's ex-wife, and she was feeling some type of way. Then on top of that, Preston wasn't answering her phone calls, and she was blowing his phone up because she wanted him to come over. She wanted him to come around. That is where her issue is really lying at this point. So, all this stuff she's bringing up, yeah, that's cute that she got this off her chest, but that's not why you're really upset. And then on top of that, you started messing around with El Fuego because you were pissed off at Preston. Let's not act like that's not what just happened here. Because, unfortunately, Danny has some ways that are similar to Andy. When Preston makes her mad, if there is a guy around, she'll mess around with him. Because this is the same thing that happened with the butt boy. I don't even remember that character's name. But she was upset with Preston, if I'm not mistaken, and then she messed around with old boy. Same thing here. She was upset with Preston, and now she messed around with El Fuego. Now, I know in my last review, I was like, I don't know if she actually messed around with him, considering she got Preston. But we got confirmation that she did. So, yeah, Danny, what are you talking about here? Now, Preston's point of view. Preston is like, why are you unloading all this information on me? And secondly, that does not negate the fact that you are out here sleeping around with some other guy. And I know that we keep saying like, oh, well, they're not really together and all this stuff. Well, what are they? What is Danny and Preston at this point? Because I feel like they're in a relationship, but she just wanted her space, because it was her tiny apartment. Yeah, I feel like his whole point was, this is the second time that I've come to see you, and you've had another man walking out of your front door. How am I supposed to take that? So honestly, I feel like those two are on two separate pages, and we shall see what happens. I mean, at this point, I don't want Danny to be with Preston because she was always against everything that made Preston Preston. So it was never going to work, no matter how hard he tried. Now, a weird thing that was really strange to me about Preston was him carrying that sister, not sister, the woman that he lived with. Why does he have her photo in his wallet? Tyler, I still need you to explain that because that makes no sense. No one carries photos in their wallets, especially not of other women. That was very strange. But yeah, that was basically the scene of Preston and Danny. At the end of that conversation, he basically told her, like, listen, you just want to sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, and you can go ahead and lose my number. Do not call me anymore. And she said she's not. We'll see how long this lasts. All right, now let's hop on over to our girl Fatima. She is strolling through work, and we see that Gary has sent Andy tons and tons of flowers. Fatima ends up picking up one of the vases and taking it to Andy's office. Now they're sitting there talking and chit-chatting, and Andy happens to notice that there's something on Fatima's dress. Keep in mind, Fatima has on a crisp white dress. The same one where she put on the brass knuckles and fought Hayden. Yeah, that same dress. So Andy is like, oh, what's that on your dress? And she was like, oh, I smell like some juice or something on it. I was like, Fatima, how'd you not notice that there was blood on your sleeve? Like, girl, that is like an eyesore. But whatever. So what was interesting about this conversation was that Fatima was asking questions about Karen. And she was just like, oh, like, did Karen go out with y'all? Oh, did she say anything about me? All this stuff. But she was more so fishing, I feel like. she was fishing to see if Karen had told Andy and the girls that she was pregnant. I really feel that. I really feel that way. Because why else would she be asking about Karen? I feel like she was like, okay, let me go ahead and see if Karen blabbed her mouth and was like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant by Zach. And then I would have circled back to Fatima. How do you feel about that? Because you're dating Zach. Yeah, I see what you was doing, Fatima. I see you, girl. But Andy does not know that Karen is pregnant. And I think this is so interesting that considering these ladies, they're kind of on and off right now. I guess they're still kind of off. But Andy has secrets that she hasn't told the girls. Karen has secrets that she hasn't told the girls. Like, it is so interesting. And honestly, I think all the ladies haven't really opened up fully to say what's going on with them. But whatever. So, they say that they're going to chat later about what went down with Robin. Whoop-de-doo. All right, let's hop on over to Karen's salon. So, Karen and Pam are at the salon, as they always are. While, of course, there's no clients. But you know what? That's not even what's important right now. There is literally some woman. We don't have no name, no type of identification, where this lady came from, nothing about her. There's this woman who is looking for Zach. So Karen is talking to this lady, and this lady is like, oh, does Zachary Taylor still live with you? Do you know how to get in contact with him? This is like some type of legal matter. All this stuff. She's asking all these questions, but she's being very vague. She's not giving any information. And to my surprise, Karen did not give up any information either. Like, she was like, oh, well, he don't live with me, which wasn't a lie. She did not know how to get in touch with him. All this stuff. So the lady, she ends up leaving, and Pam is like, oh my gosh, Zach is in trouble, all this stuff. So she decides, Karen, she decides that she's going to call him. And then she's like, no, because they may track my phone. And I'm just like, girl, wouldn't they have to already have you tapped to be tapping his phone? You know what? Whatever. So she decides that she's going to go to his new house. Karen is going to go to Zach's new house so that way she can give him an update of what's happening. Y'all, how did Karen get the address? How does Karen have the address to Zach's new house? Was that some information that Sabrina gave up that we don't know about? Because that sounds real Sabrina-ish. Y'all know Sabrina be telling people business. But anyways, so yeah, she tells Pam, oh, go ahead and push all my appointments back because I have to go tell him this. I said, girl, how are you putting this above making money? Because at the end of the day, Karen, your shop is almost about to close because there's no customers. At this point, you need to take every head available that wants to get done. Okay, every chick who walking down the street who looking crazy, you need to go ahead and call them into your shop. You need to take walk-ins. You need to take everybody as a client because you have no clientele last time that I checked. Anybody who is paying you to do their hair, you need to do it on time, Karen. But you know what? Those are not your priorities. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we head on over to the bank where, of course, Maurice and Sabrina are there. And Sabrina goes in to check in on Maurice, but he doesn't want to hear from her. He gives her the cold shoulder. But I'm like, didn't they already make up last season? Like when she walked up to him and apologized, and then he went on to tell the story about his dad. Was that not what happened? Maybe I'm tripping. But anyways, so once she leaves, he ends up getting a phone call. It's a collect call. And he's like, who's this? I'm like, sir, you should already know this is Q. So Q is talking about how there's a chance that he's going to get out of jail early, but he's not a snitch. Sir, first off, I'm surprised that you memorized Maurice's number, considering who memorizes phone numbers anymore. But I guess when you go into prison, you gotta, know somebody's number to call. Secondly, how are you getting out of jail early? You were the ringleader in robbing the bank. You are the one who held Maurice and Sabrina at gunpoint. How are you going to get out of jail early? Please let me know, sir. But, he continues to talk to Maurice. Maurice, you can tell he's over it, but he continues to converse with Q. And I'm just like, I don't want this to happen. Tyler, let's stop trying to make the whole Q and Maurice possibly be a thing. I don't want to see it. I don't. Especially once Q asks Maurice if he can stay with him when he get out of jail. Sir, why would I let you stay with me when you have robbed my roommate? You slept with me, even though you swear you're only gay for pay. Then you have the audacity to hold me at gunpoint in my own house and then force me to my job where you tried to rob the bank. Are you crazy? See, I don't see it for Q. I'm sorry. I feel like Q has done so many things at this point. There is no redemption for Q. So Tyler, please give Maurice a new love interest. We are done with Q. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. So we basically get this conversation between Danny and Sabrina. Danny is going on and on about how, her and Preston, they don't have enough in common. She didn't want to go into details about El Fuego. And next thing you know, Calvin is showing up to the bank in one of his tacky shirts as always. Sabrina gets off the phone with Danny. And then Sabrina, she tells Calvin about what's going on with Maurice and how he's still mad at her. And then Calvin, he says that he knew about Maurice's dad. And I'm like, when did y'all have a heart-to-heart? And then he further said that, Maurice's dad is why he is the way he is. I'm just like, wow. I was surprised that even came out of Calvin's mouth, just because I didn't expect him to partake in the gossiping matter. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and move on, because next thing you know, Calvin, he goes into the same room as Maurice, even though Maurice is supposed to be doing some type of auditing or something like that. Only in a Tyler Perry show will that even be possible. But let's just go ahead and break down what happens in this scene. Maurice does not want to see Calvin. He doesn't want to talk to Calvin. But, of course, he gives in. And Calvin lets him know that he has a friend coming in town. So, basically, Calvin is trying to set Maurice up with some guy that he knows. We shall see who this guy is in a coming episode. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that this could possibly be a love interest for Maurice? Or is this going to end bad because he's so focused on Q? Where do y'all think that is going to go? I'm just kind of surprised that now Calvin wants to hook Maurice up with somebody. But you know what? We'll just see what happens. Let's jump right on over to Danny. She's at the airport, and who happens to be there? El Fuego. Okay, I understand that he's a traveling stripper, but I would really like for them to be able to run into each other in other places besides the airport. Just saying. But, he's trying to figure out, what's going on with her. Because they just hooked up the night before, and she's like nothing. It was fun, but she can't see herself dating a stripper. So now he feels like he's being played, and this whole time that they're having a conversation, there's this other guy who's sitting there, all in their conversations, just looking at them, right? So Fuego ends up leaving because he's headed to Miami. He has an attitude. He did give Danny a little piece of his mind because, like I said, he felt like he was played. But this guy, he just happened to spark up a conversation with Danny. Now, I will say this. Danny was still trying to keep it very professional, but you can tell, she was not trying to talk to this man. So she was just like, well, why are you even, sitting here? And he's like, oh, well, my flight got canceled. And she ended up getting his information. Come to find out, yes, his flight was canceled. Now, for some reason, I don't know what type of like red flag she saw when looking at his like ticket or whatever, or like his information. But next thing you know, she like walks away. She talks to her manager, I believe, and she's like, yo, I think that guy over there, he's like some type of pimp or something, because I think that he's here for sex trafficking. I honestly don't know how we got there, like what was the red flag that made her like aware of that, but hopefully we will see it in the next episode. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting storyline. But let's go ahead and move on, because we have Zach. He's at the house. Baby boy has already got construction workers getting started. Like, he is really trying to move in. So Karen ends up walking up and she tells him that there's a woman looking for him, right? Okay, cool. And he's like, oh, well, everything on my end is legit. You ain't even got to worry about it. You can even give her my number. Like, we good over here. So Karen goes on and it's like, well, because I'm carrying this baby, and while I'm carrying this baby, you can't be going to jail and all this stuff. I'm just like, ooh, Karen, don't be one of those. I feel like Karen about to use this baby for everything that is going on between her and Zach, or just her in life, period. But we shall see how Karen progresses with this pregnancy. So, out of nowhere, Karen is like, so can I see the house? Ma'am, he don't even like you like that. Why would you even think that he would let you see the house? And he's like, it's not safe for you to be in there because there's so much dust and everything. Y'all, why did that set her off? Why did she get such an attitude and storm off because he said that there's dust and stuff in the house? There is clearly construction going on. Ma'am, you don't have no goggles. You don't have no, protection on. Why are you mad that he's caring about your health since you're carrying his baby? Why are you mad at that? What made you storm off? Oh, right. Because it's not the house for you and Zach, right? Okay, Karen. Anyways, that was that scene. I feel like Karen is going to be a handful this entire season, but we shall get there. All right, so we hop back over to Calvin and Sabrina, and they are talking about setting Maurice up, and then they're going to go out on a date. And then, of course, Sabrina, she circled back to Maurice and Q and his dad. I'm just like, Sabrina, stop bringing it up. We don't want to hear it anymore. Just let it go. Focus on you and Calvin at this point. That was that scene. Let me jump on over to Fatima and Andy. So they are just chatting it up, right? Next thing you know, there's a call that Gary is at the office to talk to Andy. Now, Fatima, she goes out there to go handle it. She's like, Gary, I need you to go ahead and leave. All this stuff. He didn't want to leave. Next thing you know, they're standing by some stairs, and she basically said that she was going to throw herself down the stairs to make it look like he did it. I said, whoa, Fatima. I'm usually rocking with you, but whoa, girl. That's a bit steep, okay? I think you riding for Andy and her shenanigans a little bit too hard, because I feel like at some point Andy is going to take Gary back. So don't ride for Andy too hard, girl. But next thing you know, they go back in. She goes back in there because Gary ends up leaving. And, they talk about Robin, and Andy lets Fatima know that Robin actually owns the company. And next thing you know, they're talking about Zach and how well he's doing. And then all you see is everybody in the background just running amok. They are running around like chickens with their heads chopped off. And they're just like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Next thing you know, the receptionist comes into their office, into Andy's office, and she's like, oh my God, did you guys hear about Hayden? And they're like, what about him? Hayden is dead. I'm like, okay. All right, Tyler, here's the thing. This would have been cute if we had not already seen those pictures of Hayden with the crutches. I think it was in the preview for the season. So I'm just like, we already saw that Hayden's going to be okay. He may be unconscious, but Hayden is still alive. But that was the episode, you guys. I know that this review is so late. I'm slowly but surely getting my voice back. Go ahead and let me know what you thought about this episode. Do you think it was a strong opener for season 4? Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.